Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are going to continue with chapter number 4. We concluded till verse number 21 and we'll continue with 22. Yadrachalabhasantushto dvandvatito vimatsaraha samaha siddhava cha kritva pina nibhadyate. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. He who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are continuing with chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, which is actually entitled Transcendental Knowledge. And in this particular chapter, we already learned about the history of the Bhagavad Gita. You know, how old is Bhagavad Gita? When was it first spoken? And also, Krishna talked a lot about activities, actions, what kind of actions need to be performed, what are not suitable. So here in this particular verse, we can see we are getting a formula, or we can say a process by which we can achieve complete satisfaction. Now, why is it that Krishna is talking about complete satisfaction? It's because most people in this material world are not satisfied. Even if they are satisfied, they are not completely satisfied. So here are the requirements. If we want to become free of bondage, if we want liberation, even though we are working, even though we are going to a job or taking care of family or whatever it may be, you know, in our life, but while doing that, how can one become completely satisfied? So what are the requirements Krishna says? He says, first of all, one should be satisfied with the gain that's coming on its own accord. Very, very important, right? And we have already learned in chapter 3 about karma yoga, how karma works. What are the three kinds? There is karma, there's akarma, there's vikarma, you know, going against the scriptures, performing activities but wanting to enjoy the results. So all this, just like there is a you know, saying that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So our activities, they are the ones that are producing the reactions, and they are the ones that are giving us either happiness or suffering or miseries, whatever we may call it. So here Krishna is saying that we have to be satisfied with whatever profits or gains that are coming on its own. What does that mean? That whatever we have sown in our past, you know, as they say, as you sow, so shall you reap. So if we have sown bad activities, obviously we are going to get bad reactions. And if we have done good actions, we are going to get good reactions. So what we are experiencing now, whether happiness or distress, that depends on our past karma, on our past activities. That cannot be changed. So one should be satisfied. It doesn't matter. Yes, ups and downs are there in life. There is one, sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are sad, sometimes we get a lot of money, sometimes we lose a lot of money. So all this goes on, but the idea is we need to be satisfied in all situations. Krishna says free from duality. What is duality? Duality, we can say we are in, you know, acting in the sense of dualities is when we get affected by happiness, distress, heat, cold, success, failure. Someone is insulting us, someone is glorifying us. So when we get affected with all this, that is called duality. And Krishna is saying we have to be free from duality. So it doesn't matter in what situation we are always satisfied, and there should be no envy, and one has to be steady, whether success or failure. This is very hard to put it into practice, but practice makes one perfect. So when we take on this transcendental knowledge, we try to contemplate on that knowledge. It's not blind faith that you hear something and you accept it. No, we think about it, we meditate on that, we discuss that. And once we understand it, then we put it into practice. Then Krishna says one is not entangled. And then we can say we are doing karma free work. No more reactions. We are performing activities as per the laws of the Supreme Lord. We are not desiring to enjoy the fruits of our activities. We are satisfied. It doesn't matter what comes in our plate, we are satisfied. Then we are not entangled. You see, we are getting what we have earned in our past. So why over endeavor? If based on my past karma, if I'm supposed to get X number of money, that is all I'm going to get. It doesn't matter whether I'm going to do one job, two jobs, whether I work 8 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours. No, that over endeavor is not going to make us earn more. We are going to, that is not going to change our past karma. But that doesn't mean we don't work. We say, oh, whatever is there in my karma, I'm going to get. So I'm going to just sit tight at home and not do anything. No, we have to work. We have to work honestly to the best of our ability and leave the results to Krishna. Let Him give us what we deserve. No point in over endeavoring. Satisfaction will only come when we understand this point. Past karma is because of whatever we are facing now in present is past karma. What we are doing now, activities, that is going to decide our future life. So satisfaction is important because satisfaction brings happiness. I had heard this very nice story one time that there was a farmer, in a village. That farmer, he was very happy and satisfied, even though he didn't have much. He had a young son, probably in his 20s, and he was very happy and satisfied. So one day his son decided to go horse riding. But when he went to see that his father had a horse, but that horse was gone, was not there in the stable. So the neighbors, they came to the farmer and said, oh, how unlucky you are. You had only one horse and that horse is gone. But this farmer was not disturbed at all. Okay, if the horse had to go. What can I do? Then after a day or two, the horse came back. And again, the neighbors came to the farmer and said, oh, you are so lucky. The horse has come back. And the farmer was still, okay, no, that's fine. He was happy in any situation. Then one day his son decided to go horseback riding. And so when he went horseback riding, he fell down and broke his leg. Again, the neighbors came and said, oh, so unfortunate. You have only one son and he's broken his leg. But the farmer was not disturbed at all. He was happy in whatever situation the Lord had kept him. He was satisfied. And at that time, there was drafting, there was war. And so government was sending in, drafting all the youngsters, to come and participate in the war, and which is a dangerous situation. So when they came to this farmer's house, they saw, oh, he has only one son and his leg is broken, so he cannot come to the war. So they left. And again the neighbors came, oh, you're so lucky, you have one son, and because of his broken leg, he didn't have to go to work. But that farmer was not disturbed at all. He was steady in whatever situation was there. So we need to understand from this that we are just reaping what we have sowed. And the best thing to understand that is to take on this knowledge, take this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, which is very nicely explaining to us who is God, who are we, how does karma work, what is this material nature, and what is eternal time. These are the main five subject matters of Bhagavad Gita. And it also, Krishna has given us two chapters, chapter 3 and 5, about karma yoga, teaching us how we should perform activities so that we do not, you know, suffer. So that once we understand, when we have knowledge, we think about it, and then we understand, okay, this is how karma works, and we accept it. We see in chapter 1 where Arjuna, who is a friend of Krishna, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, who is speaking the Bhagavad Gita, we see Arjuna, his friend, is morose, is confused, is lamenting, is feeling a lot of compassion, doesn't want to fight with his relatives who are on the opposite side. So, and he's giving so many reasons to Krishna why he should not fight. But then in chapter 2, Krishna starts speaking the Bhagavad Gita and explaining to him the basic foundation of Bhagavad Gita, which is you are not this body. We all are not this body. We are spirit souls. And he explains to Arjuna that all these relatives that are standing in front of you to fight, they are all eternal because they are spirit souls. They are not these bodies. These bodies will die, but the soul is eternal and it will live forever. So you're not actually killing your relatives, it's just the body. He says, Dehi no asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati. He says that just as the embodied soul, that means the soul is inside the body, just as the embodied soul continuously passes from boyhood to youth to old age, similarly the soul passes on to another body at the time of death. A sober person is not bewildered. Sober means dhira. Dhira is the Sanskrit word which means a sober person, someone who has knowledge, is not disturbed. So here Krishna is talking about how to become completely satisfied. And we've learned in chapter 3 very nicely, Krishna explains about the difference between good actions, bad actions, and actions without any reactions. And how can we do karma free work? He gives a very nice Sanskrit words. He says, Yagnarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tad artham karma kantaya mukta sangha samachara. Mukta, when we want liberation, he says, then whatever work we perform should be performed as a sacrifice for Krishna. When we do in that consciousness, then there is no more bondage. Then we become free. There is liberation. We don't get bound by the reactions of our actions. So if we follow the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, and we do our work honestly, to very efficiently, to the best of our ability, then we will come to a stage where dualities will not affect us. Right? Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Kavi Hastini Shuni Cheva Svapakicha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. We will become a Panditaha, which means we become learned. And when we become learned, then Samadarshina, then we will see everyone equally. Then we will not distinguish this one is that one is that, because that is bodily concept of life, right? But all that is possible when we take on full knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. And chapter 4 is entitled Transcendental Knowledge. What is the reason that we meet every week? To hear this treasure house of knowledge. This is called Raja Vidya, which means the king of education. Raja means king, Vidya means education. So this Bhagavad Gita is considered Raja Vidya, the king of education. The reason we meet every week is so that we can hear, we can contemplate on it, and then we decide, is this something that is appealing to me? Is this something I would like to follow or not follow? Now the question arises, why is it that people get affected by dualities? Oh, someone insulted me. Why did someone insult me? Why did someone say this to me or do this to me? Why does that happen? Those dualities affect us because there is no satisfaction. The consciousness is not clear. Why? Because there is lack of knowledge. So, here in chapter 4, which is transcendental knowledge, we have heard Krishna talk about the history of the Bhagavad Gita, how old it is. He says in the very first verse, Imam Vivasvati Yugam Proktavam Aham Avyayam. He says, I gave this knowledge first to the sun god Vivaswan. And when we read the purport of Srila Prabhupada of this first verse, there is a nice calculation. And Srila Prabhupada explains this Bhagavad Gita was spoken 120 million years ago. 5,000 years ago, it was respoken. Why? Because Krishna says, Yogo Nashtaha Parantapa. This knowledge was gradually getting destroyed. So he had to come again 5,000 years ago and re-speak this Bhagavad Gita. There are two reasons. Why did he come down? He came down because he said, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati. Whenever there is a decline in religious principles and there is a rise of irreligion, that is when the Lord comes down. So he can guide us. And then he also gives another reason. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam. To to protect the devotees and to annihilate the miscreants. So these are the reasons why Krishna comes. And he's so merciful, compassionate. He came 5,000 years ago, so he could give us Bhagavad Gita, which is actually the manual for self-realization. It's a manual for human beings. You see, we human beings, we have philosophical intelligence, which means we can understand, we can if someone explains to us, we can really understand, what is the purpose of human life. It's, if we try to explain Bhagavad Gita to animals, do you think they will understand? No, they will not understand. Why? Because they don't have that philosophical intelligence. So if we take on this knowledge, then we will be able to understand what is right and what is wrong. So today's topic that is what Krishna is talking about today is how to become completely satisfied. There's a process. People generally, they get very affected by dualities. So here Krishna is giving the secret to Arjuna, the secret to liberation, how not to get entangled in dualities. Understand how karma is working. Understand every action has a reaction. Very, very important. So all we need to do is not that we change. Like I say, oh, because of karma, I want to give up my family, or I want to give up my relatives, or I want to give up my job. No, we don't need to do any changes, make any changes. All we have to do is change the consciousness, change how we think, change how we behave. And all this should be based on knowledge. Now, when we go to chapter 14, Krishna talks about the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. These are the three modes. And these are the modes in which people generally operate. Sometimes someone is in the mode of goodness, sometimes someone is acting in the mode of passion, sometimes ignorance, sometimes there's a mixture of modes, goodness and passion and ignorance. So this is how people in general operate in these modes. And the problem is that these modes of material nature, they bind us. then our consciousness is not very clear. So we need to go beyond these three modes: ignorance, passion, and goodness. We need to go above goodness, which is pure goodness, which is a purified state of consciousness, where our heart is purified, where our actions are based on the laws of the Supreme Lord. We are not randomly living. You know, there is a saying, eat, sleep, and be merry. No, that's not the purpose of human life. Human life is a life of responsibility. We have got this life after a lot of struggle, after going through many different species of life. According to Vedas, there are 8.4 million species of life, and we've gone through all of them: insects, birds, trees, reptiles, all different. And finally, we've got a human form, which is a form of responsibility. So, if we somehow or the other take on the knowledge and follow the process to go beyond these three modes of material nature, then it will help us to control our mind and senses. Because our mind and senses are not controlled, that is why there is no satisfaction. And because there is no complete satisfaction, there is no happiness or bliss. So we are in that cycle where from which we need to come out of. Controlling of mind and senses is very important. I heard about, this is true, this is something that happened or is still happening, I'm not sure. But there is this lady in Florida. I don't know if she lives in Florida, but this lady, I think her name is Jennifer. What she does is every month, once a month, she goes to Disney World. I'm sure all of you are aware of Disney World or Disneyland. Disneyland is in California and Disney World is in Florida. So she goes to Disney World once a month. The reason being, she likes to go on those rides, eat food in those restaurants there. She likes to watch other people. She likes to, enjoy those rides over and over again. And she does that every month for a very long time. Now, had she been satisfied, she won't be doing that again and again, right? There's no complete satisfaction. She wants to again go. She wants to go again and again and again. No control over mind and senses. So it's important that we understand, if we understand who we really are, that we are the spirit souls, we are not this body, we are spiritual in nature, we are spiritual beings right now experiencing human nature, but we are originally spiritual beings. What is our constitutional position? To be the servant of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. What is the purpose of human life? To go back to the spiritual world, which is our original home. And we can do that if we use our philosophical intelligence. When we understand the Bhagavad Gita and we start following it, putting it into practice, then Krishna guarantees we will get complete satisfaction. So now we have a choice. What do we want to do? Am I interested in complete satisfaction, or am I happy the way I am? We make a choice. And based on our choice, the Supreme Lord will help us. In chapter 15, we will see there's a beautiful verse which is in Sanskrit. Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Vedes cha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. Krishna tells Arjuna, I am situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. And he says, from me, that means from Krishna, comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. We have three choices. We choose. So whatever we choose, he's situated in our hearts and he fulfills that desire. If we have a desire to remember Krishna, he gives us the opportunity to do that. But if we decide, I'm not interested right now, I have too many things on my plate, I have, I want to enjoy my life, I don't want to remember, then Krishna will make us make the situation such that we will forget him. But he says, if someone has a desire to get my knowledge, he will give that opportunity. So that, why is it that all of you are today here listening to the Bhagavad Gita? It's because you had the desire to hear. And that is why an opportunity was given to you to come and hear. But you had a choice. Okay, I got an invitation, an event is posted on Facebook, or I came to know from someone that there is a Bhagavad Gita class. So I have a choice. Should I go or should I not go? The choice we make. And he says, Vedas just survey aham eva vedayo vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. What does that mean? Krishna says, I am the compiler of the Vedas. And I am to be known from the Vedas. So the purpose of Vedas is to understand Krishna. And what is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is just the essence of the Vedas. If we go to read the Vedas, we may not be able to finish it in one lifetime because it's so vast. There's so much knowledge in there. Of course, there was one Veda which was again divided into 4. And Bhagavad Gita, what we are hearing today, is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. So now we need to decide, am I interested in complete satisfaction? Yes. Then we need to spiritualize ourselves. Yes, maybe we are spiritual. We do some spiritual activities, or we read spiritual books. That's very, very nice. But if we follow the instructions given or the process given in the Bhagavad Gita, then guarantee is given by Krishna that we'll get complete satisfaction. See, and it all begins with mantra meditation. When we chant, these sound vibrations, they enter our ears and they go to our heart, and it starts purifying the heart. Those sound vibrations, they are so powerful that they start cleansing the heart gradually. And then it's completely pure. There is purification. And then whatever we are hearing, that also starts making sense. So it's, if we somehow or the other can take up the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, the transcendental knowledge, then there will be complete satisfaction. When we have some disease or an ailment, or we are feeling sick, the body is feeling sick, where do we go? We go to the doctor, we consult the doctor, and the doctor gives us a medication and, suggests to us how we can become healthy again. So similarly, most people in this material world have a material disease, which means there is a lot of anarthas, unwanted things in the heart: lust, anger, greed, pride, envy. So much impurities are there. And so to remove all that, Bhagavad Gita gives us a simple process how to become spiritually healthy. All we need to do is change our consciousness. We perform the same activities, going to work or taking care of family, or I'm a student, or I'm doing business, whatever it may be. All we need to do is change that consciousness. Then, while staying in the atmosphere that we are in, we will be able to spiritualize it. That is how we will be able to become completely satisfied. So as I was mentioning, to cleanse the heart, I'm not saying that your hearts are dirty or my heart is dirty. No, what Krishna is trying to explain is that since time immemorial, since a very long time, since many, many births, we've got a lot of unwanted things in the heart which need to come out. And I'm sure you all will agree that at some point of time in our lives, we've been lusty, greedy, angry, in illusion, so many unwanted things. Maybe they are not there right now, but cleansing helps a lot, because then we can see just like a mirror, excuse me, just like a mirror which is covered with dust. Until and unless we remove the dust, we cannot really see our reflection, or we cannot see ourselves in the mirror because it's unclean. Similarly, our hearts, which have got a little dust on it, we need to cleanse it. Once we cleanse it, then we will really understand who we really are. Right now, we know it theoretically, but not practically. So, if we start hearing and we start doing mantra meditation, then gradually we will be able to come to that stage where there's going to be complete satisfaction. And what I will do is I'm going to post, of course, I'm going to post the different links. If you would like, you can join them. But at the bottom also, you will see the mantra for meditation. It's called the Maha Mantra, which means the greatest chant, the greatest mantra. Man means mind, tra means to free. So it frees the mind. This mantra frees or removes the anxieties that are there in our lives. So if you don't mind, I will chant it for a few minutes just to give you an idea how to chant, and maybe you can try it at home on a daily basis. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is how we can do mantra meditation on a daily basis. And this Maha Mantra is mentioned in the Upanishad, Kali Santanara Upanishad. So this is not just a random mantra, but it is there in the scriptures. So I'm going to end here. Excuse me, I'm going to end here. If anyone has any questions, if you would like to ask any questions, you are welcome.